Hello, and welcome to season 3, episode 16 of Quaint and Cozy KC. I am your host, Lainey Renee, and today I am doing that second leg of the tour that I started in the last episode, where I started off in Salina and did a detour into Western Kansas. And so let's talk about the detour that I took. My family is from both Central Kansas, my mom's side, and Western Kansas, my dad's side. And so I needed to kind of like go down there and visit my dad's people. So I went from Salina, which is kind of like, central Kansas, whatever, and to western Kansas, northwest Kansas. So I started off in Wilson Lake. Now, I wasn't going to stop in Wilson Lake. I was going to go straight to Hill City, but no, I took a little detour. I went to Wilson Lake because instead of taking I-70 all the way down to Hayes and going to Hill City that way, I decided I'm like, I'm going to take more of a scenic route. So I went to Wilson Lake and I do not remember this lake. And I have a really good friend who's from Hayes. She's like, girl, it's always been there. I'm like, did it look as fancy as it looked now? She said, no, it did not look that fancy. I'm like, okay, cool. That I'm not, losing any memory or anything like that. So Wilson Lake is on the border of Russell County and Lincoln County, and it spans through four cities, Sylvan Grove, Lucas, and Dorrance. So it's kind of like it kind of spans that way. And it has beautiful views. Now, I only went on one side of the lake because, again, I had a schedule. So I couldn't be, I didn't want to throw my whole schedule off that day. So I only went on one side of the lake, and that's the side that has, like kind of like the welcome. It had like a stone kind of like welcome message there, and it had some information about the lake, and it was kind of like a lookout point. It's kind of cool. There's two lookout points. So I went to the first one and I took some pictures and some video of the lake, and it's kind of where the boaters were. I didn't go, there's like a beach as well. I didn't go all the way down there. I just kind of, I just kind of stuck to the one that was on the way to Hill City. Then I mean, it was just so nice. It's a really great place to picnic. Where I was at, kind of like there's views, a really good place to kind of picnic and listen to music, like all the things. And it's just right off the highway. It's like a two-lane highway, but it was, right off that two-lane highway. And it had some kind of bluffs. Looked like there were some bluffs over there. So I mean, I really liked it. It was really beautiful there. That's the kind of place I would go, like, mid-morning, maybe for lunch, something like that. And if you're kind of on your way someplace, it's nice, like a nice little stop. And then there's some, you take that back way, you're going to hit, some countries, some smaller towns and all that stuff. But yeah, I really liked, stopping. It was a nice little 20 minutes. I think I stopped for about 20 minutes taking the pictures, and I wish I would have had more time. And that's definitely when I swing back around next year and go, I'm definitely going to take some actual time and explore that lake. So then from Wilson, I went to Hill City, Kansas, and that's kind of where my dad's family is from, like in that area. So I went and I visited, some the downtown because I hadn't been to downtown Hill City in like 4 years. So I visited downtown, took some great pictures. I didn't get, there's an auto museum there, and I didn't get to go to it. I like to go to a museum, but I knew I was going to hit up another one in the next town that I was going to. But it looks like a really cool museum. It's got some cars in there. I mean, I was reading the reviews, and so next time I'm definitely going to have to, check that out. And there's like some hotels. The Schweitzer Hotel is there, and it's kind of like it's not a straight bed and breakfast because I don't think they feed you breakfast. I think it's a place to kind of lay your head, but the way it is laid out, to me, it's laid out like you're at your grandma's house or your auntie's house, your great auntie's house, I should say. So it's really comfortable, a lot of overstuffed furniture, wooden tables, all of that stuff. And I was asking him like, so how busy does it get, right? And during the celebration, the Nicodemus celebration that I'll talk to next, I'm sorry about next, it gets a lot of people come into town, but also, when there's unfortunately funerals and when there's a wedding, like a happy occasion, that kind of thing, reunions, a lot of people will, they stay there and they kind of like, take up the whole hotel. So it's kind of like being in, having your own space in that place is super. I thought it was super cute. And it was funny because I was taking pictures of the outside because I love that kind of that the stone. And this is on my Instagram. If you go to my Instagram, Quaint and Cozy KC Instagram, you'll see I did a reel of it. And it's got some nice stone there. It's one of those really nice looking stone buildings, like old kind of stone. And so I checked that out. And she came outside. She's like, "Hey, do you want to take pictures inside?" I'm like, well, "Okay." It was kind of weird because I wasn't trying to be creepy or anything, but I was like, "Oh, look." I was trying to capture like the whole, part of the building because I love architecture, especially in these small towns. The old school architecture, just the stone and brick buildings. I love that aesthetic. So I went and I checked that out. And then I went to like the Hill City City Park. And and it's near their public library, which I didn't get a chance to go inside the library because, again, I was on a schedule. And once, if I take a library detour, that's an hour gone. And I'm like, I don't have an hour. I got to keep pushing. But there is a Hill City City Park, and it has structures that were built during the Work Progress Administration during the 1930s, the New Deal time. So it's really nice. It's like nicely scaped. Again, that old stone that I love, looking at, there was kind of like a rope bridge you could walk over. And it looked like a little small amphitheater. It looked like the kind of place you could go, maybe listen to some music or also have a picnic, kind of a nice place like that. And then I think it down a little bit. I think there was some equipment and stuff like park equipment, all of that. And yeah, I mean, I was like, oh wow, it was very small. It felt like very small town, but a very cute and cozy and all of that stuff. And definitely when I come back through again, I'm gonna spend some more time in like the Hill City area. I probably, spend the night, something like that, so I can just kind of like, check out more things because one of the things about, and again, my dad's people are from there. And if you're ever nervous about being in a small town, if you don't have people there, I totally get it. Maybe it's something that where you go, you like kind of pass through, maybe like go get some lunch, like pick up like some takeout, something like that, or go to a diner, something like that. If you feel more comfortable doing that. I totally understand because we just don't know what the vibes are in every place, but usually in the daytime, it's, the vibes are pretty mellow, hopefully. And so, yeah, I definitely have that back on my list to go explore again. Now, from Hill City, I went to Nicodemus and that's because that's where the homecoming was taking place. And the Nicodemus homecoming, Emancipation, I mean, it's a big deal. I grew up going to it. I went there until I was about 17. And then, I graduated from high school, all that stuff. And then I came back again. Like it took me a while to kind of come back. Like my dad had passed away. So I came back in 2011 and then I came back, but not for the celebration. But then I came back in like 2014, 2015. And then I took a little bit of a break and then I came back in 2021. And now I'm going to try to make it like a yearly thing that I go, at least one of the days go back. Try to take some time out of the busy schedule and kind of go back at least for a day. So this town was, it's like part of a national historic site. And I mean, it's just got such great history to it. And there's all kinds of, if you go to YouTube, you're going to find all kinds of, films and movies and everything like that. And it was part of like this westward migration, during Reconstruction, post-slavery times. And so a lot of people were living, like a lot of African Americans were living in the South, and they were like, you know what, let's do something, let's go for a better life. So, some people got together and they created kind of this coalition, and people moved there. And then and they were talking about how like the first years that they were trying to do it, that it was very just perilous. I mean, again, back then it was just perilous in general. So they started arriving probably like 1878, 1879 from Kentucky and Mississippi, and other places in the South. And they kind of knew farmland. Like they knew farm, like they weren't learning they already kind of knew um how to do that. So they were able to kind of like get some things going. They had a hotel, a couple stores, a school, churches, all those things. And so yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things that I always took for granted. Like it's just a very small town, and we would descend on there every year, every summer. And I just kind of and hearing the history, because I already knew from reading about it, having and listening to my grandparents talk about it, my dad talk about it. Like, I kind of like had certain things, but when I went on the tour, because there's the museum there, I went on the tour, I actually went on a tour, and it was great. It was a lot of walking, just FYI, it was a lot of walking. It was like a free tour. It was a lot of walking. And hearing like the history, and being able to add to it. The tour guide would say this, and I did say, hey, I'm a descendant. So I would kind of fill in little things that I remember my dad telling me about Nicodemus, what how it was when he was a kid, and then kind of telling people, hey, this is how it was when I was a kid. And so yeah, I mean, it was just really kind of a proud moment. It was a little surreal hearing about your family history from a tour guide, but I mean, it's still pretty darn cool. So this homecoming emancipation, it happens every year. Like it's like always the last weekend in July. And I think they started it used to just be Friday, Saturday, and part of Sunday, but now they've kind of have some activities going on Thursday too. And so then and they've got things going on in the day on Friday. So I like how they've kind of made it because not everybody, because back in the day we would just stay the whole time. Like we would get there probably on like a Wednesday or a Thursday and then go to the celebration on, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, leave Monday. But some people can't do all that. So I love how they have it. So, hey, if you just want to come during the day, we're going to have stuff going on in the day. Come for the whole time or just come for one part of the day. Or me, I just went for like the late morning, early afternoon, and then I had to, I was out of there by I think I was out of there by like 2 o'clock, like 1 o'clock, maybe it's like 1 o'clock, something like that, because I had to go on to my next stop in Newton, which I talked about, a little glimpse of Newton, because that's another place I need to go back and visit. Most likely, probably, more than likely next year I'll go back and visit Newton. So yeah, I mean, I love this is just it's a family, it's a great family thing. If you want to go solo, because and Nicodemus, it's like again, I know I'm related to a lot of the people there, but I feel like it's just a friendly bunch of people. Like it's a friendly bunch of people that you're sitting there eating, you're like, oh, I'm by myself. People will join you. It's very friendly. It's a very just it's our family reunion, but we have opened it up for other people to experience the kind of family, that family experience that we have. So again, I loved it, especially going during the daytime because there's so many things to see and there's so many cute little booths and all of that stuff. And when I was a kid, they held everything inside of what's now a museum. Everything was just inside there. The dance, the fashion show, everything was inside. They had the parade. They'd have like, the basketball tournaments, like all that stuff. But mostly things were inside. And now they have more things like outside. And on the inside, they're showing like the movies, the documentaries about, because, the museum and everything there, you can go look at things. So yeah, they kind of have that going on. And I can remember going to like the barbecue place and waiting in line, getting my plate of barbecue, all the things. I think we also brought. I want to say we also like people would also kind of be bringing food too, and it's just like a big kind of again family reunion. I guess is the best way to describe it. So that's kind of part of like kind of wraps up my trip. Now in the last so that wraps up my trip and that kind of like kicking that off in the last episode, I talked about what is a good kind of local weekend getaway situation, like what that looks like, my opinions, because they're just my opinions, what that looks like. So let's talk about now. And I know of like early on in this podcast, maybe a couple years ago, I talked about day trips and whatever. But for me, like as someone who did them in the past, but now locally, like just about every week, I'm on a day trip of some kind, right? To for the podcast, for the blog, for myself, really. Um, so what makes a good like local kind of day trip? Well, first of all, a good local day trip, it's anywhere from, to me, 15 minutes to maybe like an hour, no more than an hour away, 90 minutes on, like that's kind of pushing it, but like, so it's kind of like something, it can be anywhere from 15 minutes to 90 minutes away. And it's someplace where it's like it's not a nightlife thing. It might be you're taking a day trip to go try a new breakfast diner that's like 45 minutes away. So I'm on the north side of Kansas City. And so if I go to the Johnson County side, that's on the Kansas side, because I'm in Missouri, that's like 45 minutes to go maybe to Overland Park or closer to an hour to go to Olathe, then that's what I consider a day trip. Because what I do on my day trips is I will go to the activity. Usually, it could be a farmer's market, it could be like a restaurant, something like meeting people at a restaurant or even someone's house. Like I'm visiting like a house visit. What I'm going to do is I'm not just going to go whenever possible. I'm not just going to go to the house first. Like let's say, that the party starts at 2 p.m. on Saturday. I'm going to, whenever possible, I'm going to, leave my house around 12, 12:15 so that if there's an adjacent neighborhood that I want to, capture pictures of, and it's on the way that I can take those pictures, right? So, like I can go to their downtown and take pictures. Like, for example, Overland Park. I have friends in Overland Park. If they're like, oh, hey, we're having something start at 2, I'm going to leave my house maybe 11:45, 12 o'clock. I'm going to go down there so I can take pictures of downtown Overland Park, maybe pick up some, maybe like get a little treat or something like that, and hang out for a little bit. And then I'm going to go to their house. Like that's part of the day trip, right? It's not just like a day trip, like, okay, I'm going to someone's party. And again, that's fine. You can kind of consider that a day trip if you're going, outside of your neighborhood. But for me, I try to maximize. That's the thing. I maximize. If I know that I'm going to go to someone's house in Brookside, then I'm going to the Brookside neighborhood, like where all the shops are. I'm taking pictures. I'm walking. I'm doing like video of the trees, all the things. I'm going to do that. That's how because sometimes it can seem overwhelming to like people say, oh, you see all these things. You got all this time to do it. And it's like, well, actually, I maximize all the time that I have. So if I've got something where maybe the party starts, let's see, 2 o'clock's a good time. And it only lasts from like 2 to 4. It's like a designated event, start end time. Then at, 4, when I leave at 4, I'm going to go, it's still light outside. I'm going to go explore some other little place before I go back to the Northland. See, that's how I do it. Yeah, that's how I kind of do my local day trips. Also, I've been known to build things around farmers markets, as you know, museums, parks, anything like that, bookstores, anything like that. I mean, just, kind of like giving you like those examples, even a coffee shop. Um, I'm like, oh, that looks like that coffee shop's it looks like it's in a cool neighborhood. Thank you, internet search. So now I feel like I'm going to take pictures around that, little area and everything, and post them or talk about them on my podcast, like all those things, because that's to me a really good local day trip. It's just some place that gets you out of your neighborhood and a place to explore. And I know some people don't like to drive at night. That's why I do a lot of my day trips in the daytime. Like I'll leave in the morning and I'll be back home by like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. at the latest. And, again, it's still light outside here in the Midwest, even during the winter, like 3, 4 p.m. So I'm back in my house, snug as a bug in a rug, all of that. So it's just something to consider. If you can't do a local weekend getaway because of finances or time, or just, you don't want to drive that far, you've got a good local day trip waiting for you. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is solo trips. Now, I know that Tracy Ellis Ross is doing a show on Roku, and I haven't caught it yet about, solo travel. And I love that because I've been solo traveling since I was 19. And it just happened that my mom was supposed to go with me to look at this other college in New Mexico. And I was currently going to school at K-State, and she couldn't do it. I can't remember what happened. She couldn't take off the time. So I was like, okay, I can go by myself. And everyone's like, oh my God, you can't go by yourself because it's like 1993. I'm like, I'll be fine. It's a train. Are they going to rob the train? I mean, I'll be fine. And so, I did that, and I was on the train. That when I was first on there, I was a little scared, but then I was like, wait a minute, like the train, it's like a train and it's going all the way to like New Mexico. It's 14 hours. I don't have to change trains. I just, I get off, like I would have super been nervous. I would have had to like get off a train and get on a new train, all that stuff back then. But, I was like, oh, well, it's like a straight shot. And then I'm going to, take a shuttle and get on into Santa Fe. It'll totally be fine. And it was. And so I'm like, okay, after that first trip, I was fearless after that. I really was. I'm like, okay, I got this. I totally know, what to do. And I know that there's some people that I'm in my 50s now, and they're like, oh my gosh, I could never do this by myself. And I want to challenge you. Yes, you can. Just set up the parameters so that, you're not doing anything. Like if you're someone who gets nervous about transfers, then don't travel places that have transfers. Like just do a straight shot. If that's what you have to do to keep your anxiety level down, that's to me, that's totally fine. I think you should do. I mean, there's a time to get out of your comfort zone, and I get that, but sometimes traveling is not that time for some people. If you're doing it by yourself, just do the easiest thing you can think of. And there's so many like there are places to take the train that, it's again, straight shot. You just straight, it's like a 2 hour train ride away. You can go, get to your hotel, like map that out, get the Uber, get to your hotel, or choose a station. Obviously, hopefully the train you have is an early train, because some of those trains come in at like super late at night or like 2 in the morning. So maybe don't do that. Okay. But if it's a train that comes in at like 4 p.m. or something like that, then you just, go get the Uber, go on to your hotel, however that works, get a hotel that's close to the train station. Just make your life very easy. And the more you practice doing that, the easier it will get for you to think about maybe I can go beyond this, right? Maybe I can, or maybe what it is that you just have, if you have friends in that city, you have them meet you at like the place across the street or something. I've done that before. My younger days, I'd be like, okay, I mean, again, I was not afraid to travel to places where I didn't know anybody, but some of my friends would be like, hey girl, I only live like 30 minutes away. Let's meet for lunch in this city. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then they tell me places to go, or they'd say, hey, your hotel is right around the corner from where my cousin works. Maybe you can go meet her for lunch the next day, like that kind of thing, right? But the whole thing is that, solo travel does not have to be scary. Just keep it very simple. And at the first 5 trips, stay in your comfort zone till you're practiced and, learn about the area you're going to visit. And sometimes it's easier to visit a place where you already have people in that place by yourself. You already know you've got people you're in contact with, you talk to all the time, like go to their city. For example, if you are someone who is living in, I'll give you an example, Topeka, Kansas, and you're like, man, I really want to visit my friends. I know it sounds so, you're thinking, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so silly. But no, I really want to visit my friends in North Kansas City, but I really don't travel by myself. Like, how can I do this and whatever? And, again, sometimes it's just easier to have you could have someone meet you halfway someplace and do a caravan. I mean, again, like there are people that'll do that for you. Like, okay, hey, I'll meet you halfway and we can have lunch and then you can follow me back to, I'll get you through that traffic and you can follow me back to my house or you follow me back to the part of the city that you need to be in. And sometimes, like as my mom got older, what she needed from me is she just needed me to help her get on the highway. Because sometimes if there's a construction or whatever, hey, can you just kind of get with me, help me get to the highway? I'm like, oh yeah, totally. So I would kind of lead her to the highway and she'd be fine and all that other stuff. But sometimes it's more like that, or hey, there's going to be construction. Can you like right by, can you just kind of lead me through the construction? And then once that's, I'm like, oh, I'm totally willing, to do something like that. So again, just keep that in mind. You're not stuck at home unless you want to be. There's always a way around something and that's what travel really teaches you about. It does teach you to think on your feet, to be flexible, to kind of like, stay aware of your surroundings, all of the things. And that's why it's so important. And in my mind, that's why it's so important to like start small with local trips. And then if you're like, hey, you feel brave enough, do an international trip by yourself. I went to Toronto by myself and I had so much fun. But again, I'd been solo traveling for a long time, but I already had the things I wanted to see. I stayed in a neighborhood that was walkable, like a pretty safe neighborhood. It was walkable. And, and all the things that I wanted to do, they were open during the day. I didn't have to wait till like 7 o'clock at night to try to, no, everything was open during the day. So I was able to get back to my hotel by like 6 p.m. I'm like, cool. So I was, back to my hotel by a certain time, all like safe and snug. And, that's kind of how I like to travel. So on that note, you can find me on quaintandcozykc.com. You can find me at Quaint and Cozy KC on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Quaint and Cozy KC. On that tickety tockety, it's Quaint and Cozy KC. And then YouTube, as I've stated, I'm making my push for YouTube. I've got, because I record this on Zoom. And so because I do that, there's a video component. Now I'm not on video, but I can upload it to YouTube. So bear with me as I get all of those kind of organized. I'm also doing the same thing for my Aunt Lainey's Kitchen uh YouTube page. It's like a slow build. Like you see these things, you're like, oh my gosh, girl, this is like it's under construction. Okay, it's totally under construction. So I'm hopeful that I'll have everything kind of set up by October, where I'm like, I've got it working like clockwork. But until then, I am completely under construction. Okay, take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Have fun.